The Mets are playing great baseball right now. Even though they have some significant injuries with Max Scherzer, Jacob deGrom, they lost McGill the other day to a shoulder injury, but Bassett and this pitching staff has been pretty damn good without their two superstars. This lineup has been as good as any National League lineup in baseball. Pete Alonso right now, to me, is the MVP of the National League. He leads the league in RBIs. He's almost second and third in every single offensive category except batting average. He's been sensational. McNeil has been unbelievable. He leads the team in batting average. It's been unbelievable. He's back ever since the Rojas era. And also, they're getting timely hitting from guys like Nimmo, who's been unbelievable in the outfield. To me, he's the Gold Glove right now in all of baseball at center field. He's been sensational. And bringing in Marte, who everybody thought was going to be the starting center fielder for this Met team, he's one of the more talented center fielders in baseball. They moved him to left and right field because Nimmo has been just unbelievable. He's been lights out in center field. So they've been sensational, Speedy. There's really nothing to say bad about them. Coming back the way they did against Milwaukee on Thursday, it was unbelievable. No Met fan probably thought they were going to come back. Right. And they just have been very, very good week in and week out. And as the season progresses, their schedule is one of the easiest in baseball. So that says a lot about this team and where this team is going.
Yeah, very complete lineup so far this year. Really, the only bad part has been the catching position. Just haven't gotten a lot of production there. And Eduardo Escobar's kind of up and down, but they're 7 deep beyond that. Starling Marte's had a great year. Like you were saying, not playing as much center field, mostly playing right field. Initially at the start of the season, it was because he's the strongest arm, and the Mets don't have a lot of strong outfield arms, so they were using it there. But he's still been playing well. Brandon Nimmo being as steadily good as he's been in center field has just been a blessing for the Mets. He has a 791 OPS right now, 370 on base percentage. Not really known as the power type, but still 21 RBIs and still doing a great job in the leadoff spot, and his defense has been outstanding. Something that he wasn't really great in center field. He was always good as a defensive corner outfielder, but now has really upped his game there as well. Jeff McNeil rebirthed again from hitting for batting average. Again, not the power guy, but that was always his trouble. When he tried to pull the ball too much, when Rojas came in, that was his big issue. And Pete Alonso right now hitting 280, 18 home runs, 59 RBIs, home runs and RBI leader in the National League right now. OPS of 905, having a fantastic year. As far as the pitchers, they might be getting Max Scherzer back soon. He just threw his bullpen session this week. They lost Tyler McGill. He's a right shoulder strain. He'll be out probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks, but they could be getting Jacob deGrom back before the All-Star break too. So we'll see what kind of moves they have to make. Bassett and Taijuan Walker will have to weather the storm in the meantime. Hopefully David Peterson can pitch a little better. And Buck Showalter, he knows what he's doing with these pitchers. He'll manage them well.
The dominance of New York baseball has been unbelievable. Who would have thought that the Mets right now would be leading in the National League, being the dominant force right now in the National League? Everybody thought it was going to be the Dodgers bringing Friedman in, and with that lineup, possibly one of the greatest lineups in baseball history. Well, it hasn't been as good as everybody expected it to be so far, 60, 70 games into the season.
Padres are leading the division right now.
It's unbelievable. And then on the other side with the Bronx, the Yankees have been extraordinary. They have been as good as anybody could have thought. This pitching staff right now leads the league in almost every single pitching category when it comes to the starting rotation. Nasty Cortez and Garrett Cole and Montgomery and Savarino. They've been sensational. All 5 guys have been ridiculous. This could be right now record-breaking numbers moving forward as the season progressively goes. They're not giving runs. They're not giving up any hits. They swept. Yes, they swept the Tampa Bay Rays. They swept the Cubs last week. What this team has done at home has been unbelievable. They could break the home record, having 65 wins in one season. Right now, where the Yankees are and the position that they're in, you're definitely realizing now that Brian Cashman isn't over his head. That all the fans should give an apology to Brian Cashman for all those guys thinking that Max Scherzer should have been a Yankee. Max Scherzer's on the DL right now. For all those guys saying that the Yankees bullpen didn't do enough in the offseason, bringing up King and Schmidt, making the trade for Holmes at the trade deadline, which, by the way, hasn't given up a run in 29 innings, which he broke Mariano Rivera's record.
He only given up 1 run all year.
His ERA is 0.30. I mean, it's ridiculous. The way this bullpen is played, there is not a better bullpen right now in baseball. And then there's this lineup that is scourging hot. Aaron Judge, who has 25 home runs. He leads the league in almost every offensive statistic except one: RBIs, OPS, on-base percentage, walks. Batting average for a power hitter is 316. Everybody thought he was a power hitter. He's a 5-tool player, great defensive player. Aaron Judge is the MVP right now of baseball. I'm talking about all of baseball, even better than the National League. He is the best player right now in all of baseball. Even better than Mike Trout, Soto, Pete Alonso, Machado, any one of these guys. If you were to look at statistics right now, Aaron Judge is the best player. Rizzo's hitting. Giancarlo Stanton's hitting. Torres is hitting. This whole lineup, every single player in this lineup is starting to hit. DJ LeMahieu, who's starting to hit for average. Last year had an offseason, starting to hit better. Josh Donaldson needs to wake up. We'll figure out what's going on with him. Their catchers are hitting. Trevino's hitting. Higashioka is hitting after starting off slow as he did in the beginning of the season. If you're a Yankee fan right now today, you should be very excited. They could break the record. They could win 120 games this year. Aaron Boone is going to be the first manager in Major League history in his first 5 years to have not one, not two, but 3 100-win seasons. Every Yankee fan wanted to run this guy out in the offseason, except yours truly, who didn't. This team is playing and moving in every kind of way that you should be excited about where this team is heading.
What makes a good GM is finding these gems, and the Yankees have continued to
Carpenter.
do that. That was the first one I was going to get to. Good that you brought that up. 412 on base percentage since he's come to the Yankees. Has hit 6 home runs already. A slugging percentage of .964. Obviously small sample size, but 1.376 OPS, and has been a spark as a DH. He's played a little bit of first base. He's played a little bit of second base. The catching position, like you were saying with Trevino, hitting .291 this year, already has tied his career single-season home run total with 5 already for the Yankees. And you don't get that from the catching position in all of baseball very often. And you look at the depth that this Yankee team has, it's not something like they've had before. Usually they had the depth on paper, but some of it was hurt, and it was so streaky. And now you could trust everybody all at once. Gleyber Torres, 12 home runs, 28 RBIs. Aaron Judge, like you're saying, MVP of baseball right now, 25 home runs. OPS of 1.063 right now. The only thing he doesn't lead in right now is RBIs. He has 49 right now, which trails Pete Alonso and also Jose Ramirez. But everything else, he's doing fantastic in. Rizzo, Stanton, they just have everything, and it's just doing well with the little things. And then the pitching. They have depth of veterans and youngsters in that bullpen doing well. You mentioned Holmes having that fantastic year, .29 ERA. 1 earned run allowed this year, which is insane. Clark Schmidt has been fantastic. How about some of the veterans, though? Wandy Peralta as a good lefty type. He's pitched 24 innings, 1.5 ERA so far for him. They brought in Miguel Castro from the Mets. He's been pretty good for the most part. Strikeout guy. They have a good mixture of everything. Garrett Cole has the worst ERA in the rotation at 3.33. That shows how much depth they have in that rotation.
Garrett Cole right now is probably going to be a Cy Young candidate. Right now it doesn't show that way, but I believe as he progressively moves forward in the second half of the season, he's going to get better. With what they have with Cortez and Taillon and everybody else that they have, this roster and this pitching staff could only get better if they go after some pieces at the trade deadline. And I believe Brian Cashman is not done. He is not done. I'm sure he doesn't think he is done, and this team is ready yet to win. So if you're a Yankee fan, you should be very, very excited. And with the Mets and the Yankees dominant in the American League East, and that is the hardest division to play in all of baseball. And they're 30 games over 500. And that says a lot when you have a Tampa Bay team that's probably going to make the playoffs, a Blue Jays team that's probably going to make the playoffs, a Red Sox team that's probably going to make the playoffs. And then you have the Yankees that are just completely dominating that division. Now, does that mean they're going to win the World Series? No, it doesn't. And anything could happen in baseball. A team could get into the playoffs, get hot, or they can make a trade at the trade deadline and just completely dominate all the way through. But there's something about this team that we have not seen since 2009. I think this is a special team. I do think this could be the year that we see the Yankees play in the World Series.
Talk about Cy Young. The Yankees also scored 4 runs off of Cy Young candidate for the Rays and Shane McClanahan on Wednesday. So it shows a lot about how well-rounded their offense is. And as far as the Yankees and the Mets collectively, both of them had the best record in their respective leagues in 2006. Maybe it gets to that pace again.
And Speedy, we call this
Crunch Time!
It's time for Crunch Time.
Read the time. Gotta see the pitch.
All right, let's start with the Stanley Cup. Buy or sell, the Stanley Cup will go 7 games.
Absolutely not. I'm going to sell that. I really think this is the Avalanche series to lose. I think this could go 5 or 6. I think that the Avalanche are that much better than this year's Tampa Bay Lightning team, so I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to buy it. I have Avalanche in 7. That was my pick from the start. I think they benefit in a longer series. I could definitely see 6. I don't think Tampa's going to go away that easily to see it as being a 5, but I think they will go 7, and I'm going to go Colorado in 7. All right, buy or sell, the Knicks will trade into the top 5 of the NBA draft.
It's not something the Knicks do every single year, so it's a possibility, but if they do that, they're not getting Donovan Mitchell. So I'm going to sell that. I think they're heavily interested in Donovan Mitchell. I don't see the Knicks doing that.
I'm going to sell it too. I think they're going to trade maybe a little bit up. I'm thinking more for Mathurin. I think the Jaden Ivey rumors are only recently. I think a lot of these teams are committed to that. And yes, it might be easy to place Vlade Divac on the Kings, but beyond that, that would probably be the only chance of it happening. So I am going to sell it as well. All right, buy or sell. The Mets will trade for a starting pitcher with McGill back on the IL.
Absolutely not. I think they go after bullpen help. That's something they desperately need. The Mets right now have a tremendous amount of draft stock. I think they're going to continue building that farm system as Uncle Stevie keeps opening up his pockets. They need to do something to save some kind of money. So I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to sell it too. Previous regime, I would have thought it maybe with the Will Ponds and the other GMs. They love to trade for veteran starters, but not this one. I think they'll trade for a bullpen arm, a guy that can be versatile, so I will sell it. All right, buy or sell. Baker Mayfield will be traded somewhere else other than the Panthers.
I'm going to sell it. He either stays with the Browns or he goes to the Panthers. It makes a lot of sense why the Panthers want him. With a coach right now on the hot seat, it makes a lot of sense. So I am going to sell it.
I'm going to sell it too. I think the Browns are going to mess this up, and he's going to end up being stuck there and then hold out and make it very, very dramatic for what we know as a dysfunctional franchise with the Browns. So I'm going to sell it. All right, buy or sell. Somebody other than Nathan McKinnon or Nikita Kucherov will lead the Stanley Cup in points.
I'm going to sell that. I think both players are just fantastic. Kucherov, who's been unbelievable. I know a lot of people think Brady Point, he's been out too long. He's been out for 2 series. I think if Brady Point played throughout the playoffs, I think it would be Brady Point. But I can't see it, so I'm going to sell it.
I'm going to buy it. I'm going to go Rantanen on this one. I think he's a guy that definitely, when he gets going, he gets hot in bunches in the postseason. We saw Landeskog have his bunch already against the Blues. I think it's Rantanen's time. I think he'll lead in points, and he's a very good passer for a winger too. So I am going to buy it. All right, buy or sell. Both Joe Girardi and Joe Madden will not get managerial jobs next year.
I'm going to believe that. Here's the thing. Joe Madden has jumped from one spot to the other spot to the other spot. It hasn't worked out, and it seems like he clashes with GMs and owners, so I can't see him. And Joe Girardi, let's be honest, it was a horrible job he put out there with Philadelphia. And look what Philadelphia is doing ever since Joe Girardi is gone. They're winning. So that doesn't bode well for Joe Girardi. So I am going to buy that.
I'm going to buy it too, and it's only because of the recent comments that Mike Trout and Jared Walsh were making about Joe Madden. They actually didn't like playing for him, which we always thought of Joe Madden as a guy that always did well with the players. Players liked playing for him, but maybe not this era of players. Joe Girardi, we know the Yankees, that was a big reason that he left initially, was because Gary Sanchez, but Joe Madden now getting it too. I could definitely believe that, so I am going to buy it. All right, buy or sell. Somebody other than Chet Holmgren will be drafted number 1 overall by the Orlando Magic.
I'm going to sell it. I think Chet's going 1. Everybody thinks that. Unless you're the Orlando Magic and you just think so highly of somebody else and surprise the world, I can't see it happen. So I am going to sell that.
Yeah, I'm going to sell it too. I think all the rumors have definitely leaned towards that. Orlando hasn't had the luck of getting that number 1 pick. I think they're going to really nail the guy that they really like. So I'm going to sell it as well. All right, buy or sell. Barry Trotz will be a head coach of somebody other than the Winnipeg Jets.
I'm going to buy it. I think it's the Boston Bruins. I've been saying that for a while. I know Jeff doesn't really like that. But Barry Trotz goes over there to Boston, helps out a team that's right now depleted with injury all the way till January. And I think there's only one coach that can help out that Boston Bruins team with injuries the way they are defensively. I'm going to buy that. He's going to be coaching somewhere else.
No, I'm going to sell it. I've picked Winnipeg from the start. When they were good, they were physical. That's what Barry Trotz likes to bring. I know they don't have the same amount of forwards. They traded Laine, they traded Andrew Kopp since then, and Trouba, but still, I think that system is what they like, and then that's where they were good at. So I think they're going to bring it back, Barry Trotz to Winnipeg. All right, buy or sell. We will see another defensive player making $30+ million a year within the next 3 years, like the contract Aaron Donald just got.
I'm going to buy it, because once you see it once, you see it again, maybe even more. Donald's been unbelievable, and he showed himself in the Super Bowl. He was a dominant force in the fourth quarter. I could see it. I could see a team so desperately wanting to keep that player where he is, so I'm going to buy it.
I'm going to sell it. I think everyone that would have gotten it, I think already has gotten paid. You saw TJ Watt get it, 28.5. Myles Garrett got 27. I just don't know if there's anyone else worth it at that point. Chase Young was a young pass rusher drafted. Who's going to be that next guy? Nick Bosa got his contract already. I just don't know who it's going to be, and I don't think it's going to be a secondary player, so I am going to sell it. All right, one more. Nestor Cortez will keep his ERA under 2 into the month of July. It's right now at 1.94.
Absolutely buy it. I think he's been sensational. He has been the surprise of that rotation. Him and Tyone have been fantastic. 2 guys that I believe will make the All-Star team. And really 2 guys that nobody would have expected. But yes, I buy it 100%. He's the real deal this year.
It's right on the brink, so I'm going to sell it. I think it'll just drop off a little over 2. I think it's bound to happen at some point. We were talking about it with sample size with Ryan Spader when we had him on the show a few weeks ago. I think it's just bound to happen. It's not going to go drastically over 2. It might be 2.08, might be 2.1, but I think it'll eventually get over that because it's going to be hard to keep that up at this point in the season, so I am going to sell it.